Hi, my name is Joshua Wilkerson, and I'm a student at the University of Southern Mississippi in Dr. Eichelman's BLS 402 class, and I'm going to be participating in a mock interview today. So when we resume taping, we will have the interview in process. Okay.
All right, Joshua, thanks so much for coming in today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our interview, and I want to start off by asking you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm returning back to school. I just recently returned back to school, but I was a police officer for 14 years in the city of Kenner, Louisiana. So I participated in patrol. I was a training officer, supervised younger officers, and controlled different parts of scenes and stuff like that. And I just recently retired from the police department back in February.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what motivates you to do your best on any particular job.
In any job, I always try to do my best. I try to learn the appropriate things that I need to learn as far as educating myself in any aspect of leadership or product that I'm dealing with, or just any certain type of curriculum that I need to follow, or safety guidelines or anything like that. I usually just try to educate myself so that I'm knowledgeable in everything that I try to do.
What are some of your long-range goals professionally? So you mentioned that you've been a police officer for many years. You recently retired.
Yes.
What is it that you're looking to do now as you move forward in your career?
Something that I really liked in police work was the safety aspect. Watching for safety violations and things like that, and just trying to ensure, for one, the public safety, and then as well as like the people that I was training or my coworkers, making sure their safety was maintained as well. So that's more along the lines of what I'm looking to pursue in the private sector, is actually something along the lines of safety, in order, basically enforcing the rules and regulations of federal guidelines that companies have to follow, as well as like the companies' safety guidelines that they want to make sure are followed by their employees.
Okay, so Joshua, tell me about one of your greatest strengths and an area that you really want to improve on.
I think one of my greatest strengths is like what I touched on earlier, is my ability to adapt to new surroundings or in unfamiliar areas, as far as being able to quickly learn the things that I need to do, and try to perform those better and better. I mean, it's a personal goal. I like to make sure that I succeed in the things that I do. So I want to make sure that I'm properly prepared in any aspect that I do. As far as something that I feel like I can improve on, I have been trying to, and being in a training position that I've been in for a lot of years, is that I have a little issue of delegating responsibility, as far as if I instruct someone and they're not doing it properly, I will tend to take over instead of further explaining what needs to be done. So that's something that I feel like I can improve on, but I have been trying to improve on that. And like I said, I think the training positions that I've had, as far as more forcing me to delegate responsibility and make sure that the people that I'm training are actually doing hands-on and learning.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about a time when you experienced failure somewhere within your professional life. So either related to your education, related to your work, a time when you had set out to accomplish something and you failed. What did that look like, and how were you able to manage that situation?
One particular thing that I can think of is actually I have been doing a follow-up position before I started training, I started doing basically following up cases and calling additional people in for interviews and doing follow up stuff just as far as to close out an investigation. And I was doing that basically as a prelude to becoming a detective in the investigation division of the department. And when the position had opened up, I actually applied for the position and I wasn't selected for that position, which was really disappointing for me because I felt that I was working really hard towards it and I was succeeding in the areas that that I needed to succeed in to be successful in the investigations division. And initially I was pretty discouraged, but then I was like, okay, well, I need to start working again and continuing to perform to the best so that if another position opens, I can, show that I am still working hard and that I am qualified for that position. So that was one of the things that I could say that I adapted to or quickly adapted back to a positive way of thinking from being discouraged and not getting a position.
Okay. So you mentioned training other officers, you mentioned having some kind of a supervisory role in some capacities.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your leadership style.
Like I said, I do try to delegate. I have been trying to improve on that. So, but what I like to do is I like to try to, initially when I first started training someone or if I'm on the scene of I was a senior officer, so I would be like the senior officer on the scene if there wasn't anyone of higher rank out on the scene. And I generally I don't like to bark orders, I don't like to yell, and I like to just say, hey, look, I need you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And explaining it, I try to explain it in detail of what I need done. Whether I'm out on the scene and I'm asking like another officer to go do something, or when I'm training as far as instructing on how to write reports or how to be safe on the scene. Like there's been times where we would be in a critical, basically a dangerous situation, and I had someone who was fairly new and had never really been in those types of situations. So what I would always say before we got to the scene or got in that area, I would say, hey, listen, when we get there, I want you to stay by me. I want you to listen to me and make sure that you're right on me at every time, at every point, so that I don't have to worry about you, and then you feel more comfortable and you're not, you don't panic, in other words,
Mm-hmm.
So I try to just basically be hands-on in the training, but I also like to try to be respectful. I like to try to give respect and get respect whenever I'm training someone or in a supervisor role, because I feel that is important, to not get respect because of your position, but to get respect because of the way that you treat people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in your professional career thus far, what is something that you've accomplished? What's a goal that you have been able to obtain or overcome, something that was significant to you, no matter how large or small?
I would say different awards that I've gotten. I got a Medal of Merit award. An officer and myself were on a scene, and the suspect pulled a gun on me and the officer, and I ended up having to shoot the suspect in order to keep myself safe as well as another officer. And as scary as that was, I felt accomplished because I was able to keep he and I safe and basically go home to our families. But just different awards that I've gotten over the years as far as for going that extra mile, as far as on a scene where maybe I went and made sure that something was taken care of, or I made the citizen feel more at ease, or that made them feel like we went, like myself and the department went that extra mile in order to solve their problem or to help them in their situation.
Okay. So out of everyone that's going to be interviewed for this particular position, Joshua, what makes you the best candidate? What makes you the strongest match and the most qualified to fit this role?
Well, like I said, I recently returned back to school, something that was very uncomfortable for me. I was very nervous and very concerned about my abilities to succeed. And I when I returned back to school, I was able to excel as far as getting good grades and accomplishing projects that needed to be done and actually turning them in early, and a lot of times before deadlines, and all that while still maintaining a family life with my children and making sure that they went back to school. So it was more of a multitask than I ever had to do when I was in school when I was younger. But also my experience. I now have a good education, but I also have a lot of work experience. I have 14 years of law enforcement experience, and you deal with, I have the ability to deal with diverse groups of people. I have the ability to lead and train, as well as being able to multitask whenever I'm working as well, just to be able to, write detailed reports while also listening to radio calls, which would be, equivalent to being able to listen to different, listening to different things while still performing a task that needs to be done. And so I just think with the education and my 14 years of experience in law enforcement and doing those different, every day you go to work, it's a different scenario. You never know exactly what you're going to face. You never know exactly what you're going to encounter, or there's no set guidelines on how to deal with those things. So I think with my experience of having to think quickly on my feet and having to adapt to different things, I would be an asset to the company.
Okay. So what questions do you have for me, Joshua, about the position?
Well, is when was the position available immediately at this time, or was this something that you're looking to fill in the future?
Yeah, so we are looking to fill this position immediately. We will continue to do interviews for the next 2 weeks, but we're looking to have someone in the role and having cleared them and official to start before mid-May.
Okay. And would there be any specific training courses that I would need to do prior to this position, or would y'all provide the necessary training that you need for this job?
We will provide all the training, and that'll be a part of your first 2 or 3 weeks being employed. You'll go through maybe 5 or 6 different training modules within that first period of time, and then we'll continue to roll out trainings as needed throughout the first several months of employment. But all of those things will coincide with your actual work hours, and typically they're not going to require you to be here outside of those day-to-day work hours.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for speaking with us today, and we'll be in contact as we move forward in the interview process.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.